brought before us for the public hearing.
But what's gonna go in the paper to advise the notice provision?
Yeah, and the
Resolution.
hearings of it, the hearings of it. Are we
Well-
supposed to have it for X amount of days before the public hearing? But you just said it, as long as you said it far enough out.
Yes, I mean, I would say in general, you usually have something in front of you. This admittedly is the first road we have changed from a DOT standpoint as to how it's done, so, I don't know that I can fully answer that, George. I think that we want to put a motion in that we want to move forward with this project as turning it into a one-way road. Resolution. Go out. Understand, so yes. Motion on it tonight. Draft the resolution for next meeting.
And then go out to public hearing. Okay. So,
I just need some language on it. I have to talk to
yeah,
Robert.
correct. What's that?
I just have to talk to Robert about some language as to,
Yeah, he's gonna have to let
I mean,
us, we've never done it.
I understand in the lay
Signage.
terms, we're saying it's gonna be a one-way. I just gotta make sure there might be some mechanics that I have to.
I think he had a great idea, but both of these, I mean, I give him credit, figure that duck farm road.
Yeah, somebody's gonna get killed on that, for sure.
Well,
Yeah. All right, so I need a motion to move forward with preparing a resolution for a public hearing.
It's. Yes, we can do it that way, and then we're gonna have a motion to approve the resolution.
Right,
So
so
before I
we really
draft-
don't have to do
yeah.
anything tonight.
Not
There's
really,
nothing to
no,
approve.
you're just,
We
the board
agree
is.
that we agree that we want to move forward with this, you're gonna prepare the resolution for the next meeting, we'll
That
vote
is-
on it, very good. Look at that, I love when a plan comes together. Okay, now, difficult part of this, that comes up with what? Discuss establishing a water sewer district or watershed 50. We talked about this the last time, I said that I had reached out to the village. I got feedback and approval on the sewer side of it already from Scott Wall and the village board. I'm waiting on approval or not approval of the water side of it. Only because they had a couple of days where one of their clients reached their maximum and they were a little nervous about committing to. No, water. Sewer, we have approval already.
Okay.
So we can establish a sewer district at this point right now with, in conjunction with, there's a village servicing.
I have a question, Bill. You know, with all of our four water districts and two sewer districts, if you're in that district, you have to participate and hook up to that. Like Hamiltonian Park, even if you have a personal well on your property,
Right.
you have to look into your meter for it. Now, in this case, like I'm taking across the street where we have Stewart's Sandwich Shop, they may have no interest at all in water. and sewer, right, because it's working for them. But the two businesses out there that are behind all of this, they have problems. And so, this district number, would we do it differently than what we have for the others? So we
Well,
can
I
allow
think
them-
that anybody that's there now along there, any commercial along there will jump at the opportunity to get water and sewer. And any future development that's going on along Seventh would jump at that. Stewart may not have a problem. They may be the only one. I know that, Tooltown, their system is failing. Healy is definitely failing.
Right.
The old racquetball place failing.
I mean, I don't even know that there are any houses out around there or whatever.
No, everything along 17A, and this is only gonna go out and probably come around Cheechump and back around and up to Hartley. I think it's all commercial. now.
Well, I just asked.
No, not all the way out to Cheechump, it's just gonna try to service where Goshen Hospitality is and come back around.
So it's the one house on the corner.
One house on the corner, yeah,
Right.
the farm on the corner, would be the only one. But I don't know, I don't think we have to make it mandatory, if it's residential, we can say we're making it mandatory. if it's
Well,
commercial.
the other
You have
thing
a
is,
sewer
that
district, they have-
there's,
What's that?
You have a sewer district, they have to.
Even residential?
Whoever's in that sewer district.
Okay, well,
The way I understand it,
well, then what they gotta do.
chime in a little bit more, but you got a district. you got a district.
We talked about this a few meetings back, about
Yeah.
whether if you put it in that it's commercial, but that it's exclusionary
I don't know.
or doesn't make them have to be. exclusionary or they have.
What we were talking about,
Is,
I don't-
what's the fellow's name
I don't-
that wants to build the
Spence Harris.
here?
he's gonna want,
He'll love it, but you know, and then he'll greater density and all this other stuff. He's got a lot of problems to overcome with this project. Light, traffic. and
Yeah.
this and that.
Height,
So you might want more discussion on being different here than it is with the subdivision like Hamilton Park, Arcade, Mills, et cetera, which makes obvious sense. Versus this one might. But whoever it takes it, they has to pay for the
Hookup.
taxpayer money.
To run the line, that's
Yeah.
part of that.
All the lines and all that have to be paid for by the customer.
so have we found out if we can do that for exclusively for commercial?
We discussed this, like I said,
Right.
about 2 or 3 meetings ago, talking about the corridor,
Yeah,
talking about when
right.
Cam was here.
Yes,
It was kind of, I won't say it was tabled, but that idea of putting it in is just being brought back. to the
Okay.
board. So
so.
I'm not, no problem going down rabbit holes, but
No.
like, I like to be authorized when it's gonna be a
Job
rabbit
now
hole
is to
that's.
go find out if we can do it on
Fine.
the commercial basis.
Well, right, and I think the purpose tonight is just to make sure that the planning board, I mean, the town board is still looking at moving forward. We're still looking at moving forward, we can't even approve anything tonight, because I have no feedback on the water side.
Oh,
So, I
in
mean,
addition to that,
I think that we have some valid questions here, I think we need to research the questions.
Right.
that we
Yeah.
And we've talked, I mean,
Yeah.
Supervisor and I talked. Sorry, go ahead.
Didn't we say you can only limit if it's a transmission company? You can only say certain people, it can only be commercial.
we did say that.
We talked, that was where it left off, and then we essentially gave Tam like the idea that we would be
We were in
interested in, it, so
favor.
then they could go forward with their stuff. So I personally took it as we're in a holding pattern until they were coming back with their stuff, but I know me and you, we
No,
talked.
we can't, because if we don't do something, we're gonna have to put a moratorium on building out on that 17-hour corridor. We have no choice.
And yeah, it's either gonna, we're exploring whether watersheds can borrow from one to the other, you know, I
But
know we
even-
can come in from out of town into town, but can we come from one end of town to another end of town? That's surprisingly, the answer seems to be no,
You know,
on watershed to watershed.
about 10
Which is-
years ago,
No,
about 10 years ago, the county was talking about water.
Yes.
And I don't know what happened.
Longer than 10 years ago, though.
yeah,
It was Mary McPhillips who killed that, that was like 30 years ago.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, I heard that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I'm not so sure that we should look at that again. I mean, water is, I do worry about the Crystal Run Act. They got water now, and we have a lot of Lego land and this and that, all the residents.
Yeah.
And how adequate that is, to be thinking about what we want to do with these businesses, et cetera.
I think this is a first step in order, the first step for us to regulate and facilitate the use of water and sewer in that district. Either that or I think we gotta stop, we got to put a moratorium on, stop it. Until we get a better idea, until we get another short study or something. Because all we keep talking about is what ship 50 has 49,000 gallons of excess. You have more and more stuff going in there. We already know that, some of the water testing has failed to the level that we need. Luke's probably being one of them. He's retesting again now, but some of the warehouses, you don't have problems, but the problem I see is how do you say, you either set a moratorium for the entire building, you can't say, okay, Mr. Warehouse, you can go forward because you're hard to use any water, but this development can't go forward because they're gonna use too much water. I just think it's either a moratorium on everything or,
Certainly until a study shows something that would
Correct.
allow us to then go forward.
but I haven't even begun to solicit the people to do another, I just started the beginning of the solicitation to do another study on the water.
But even if,
I think based on what Neil was talking about, the short term study, like it takes they could put on the short term water, that, and that we changed the zone years ago in the LA, to accommodate building without thinking about the water supply.
Lori has a lot of work.
Well, if you look at,
Lori has a lot of work to do.
I agree.
unfortunately, if you look at the short
No, no,
Palmer,
we're-
if you look at the short Palmer study,
Yes,
it was more of a study to determine how we prevent water issues by increasing the acreage in a district. It really wasn't a thorough water study of the aquifer.
Right.
And that's, and, you know, so,
In 2000, was it 2003 is when they came out with the SWIP laws. So SWIP began to regenerate all of our aquifers through that act. So, I mean, that it was dated, so they have some, we made it, but I politically, think we need more information, more.
You say build, you say if it's a warehouse, and they have one bath, and that's the water that. Or if it's a facility commercial, that they have many bathrooms, whatever, they have to meet their water. Correct. So I'm not sure really if we're but the water protocols. But you're right, I think we need to discuss the district and see if legally we can do what we want to do. And
see, Rory, got all that?
Yeah.
All the questions?
he does.
As I said, we can't-
got a lot of work.
We can't move forward with anything on it tonight because I only got one side of it back from the village.
So,
The sewer, we're go on the sewer. We'll
Okay.
prepare, we'll prepare whatever we need to say yes to the sewer. I told them to hold off until they had an answer. And they're working on the calculation now to see whether they can provide more in that district first.
Well, when we were doing this a couple of years back, led to believe that was forced out. That's it. Because of, like Legoland, when they were there, they had got built a well. Next to that water. And then there's a parcel between Legoland and Glenard. Say,
$10 million.
so the, what's going to go there, and so that water will come, that isn't going to come from that same act. So I mean, there's not a question. Maybe something today, and all of a sudden, what's from it?
Yeah, well, listen, we're in the middle of a drought right now and the reservoir hasn't gone down that much. So I mean, that's the positive side.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll table that until we get some feedback from the village on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Fun and games. Discuss and approve a moratorium on solar project until the completion of the solar study. I'm gonna turn this over to Phil, who I know has a lot to talk about.
Well, we were just talking a lot about the solar project.
Right.
And there are more questions than answers that are coming up with the amount of volume it appears that we're getting. So I think really it's now time to do a complete study to see what we're really looking at. And I just have a short list of questions that I would like to ask the study. Because at the pace that they're coming and the size of these projects, we're going to be overrun. So we really need to understand what we're doing. I mean, I think we need to look at the zoning and where it's allowed, and the size of the projects. We know that in New York State says 5 megawatts, but we're not sure if we want 2 megawatts or whatever as a maximum. Setbacks, there's always a problem with setbacks. Scenic overlays, variance parameters, if any. Compatibility with the surrounding properties, noise, traffic, emergency servicing, visual impacts. Subdividing property, different owners, separate applications, contiguous properties. Wetlands, environmental protocols, you got wetlands, tree removal, storm drainage, hillsides, storm water drainage, fencing, safety requirements, allowable material to use, that we discussed that as to what they can build it with, any of the glare effects to disturb properties around them, the neighbors, etc., safety signage, the possible of battery storage, decommissioning plans. So there's a lot, I think. These are just some of the things that I could think of that we really need to have a study on, understand how we're going to treat this. So it would be my suggestion that we have a 6-month moratorium on any new applications. I have the resolution here. And That's my suggestion. I'm not sure how the rest of it.
We'll find out, George.
No, I don't have a problem with the 6-month moratorium, and I also see, I just read real quickly that, because last time we did a moratorium, 6 months, is still really fast on these types of things. So there's an extension of it for another 6 months, if necessary, right? And then the last thing that I just very quickly I've been studying was the waiver, so that there's some language in here saying basically that we could. It's a hardship.
Yeah, but generally moratoriums have a hardship. I didn't articulate too much about what particular hardships could fall under that. I don't want to say it's a, when you see it, but there's always a process for hardship. Well, not always, but generally, a moratorium. Building moratorium where a house burns down or something, and you got to rebuild, right? And we're talking about. I don't have an example of where a hardship could present itself in this solar moratorium. I mean, it's talking about taking no new applications. So you can read that however you want it. So George, I mean, you still would have the discretion, George, with accepting any waivers if someone
Yeah,
came.
and I see, now I have an opportunity to look at it a little bit more carefully. It's basically phrased in a way that there is no provision being made in this local law for any waivers
Right
to
now.
its applicability.
Right.
And then you go on and say, well, there was this real hardship that
Correct.
we may be able to entertain it, but we don't have it.
Yeah, there's no real hypothetical or way to lay out parameters for what would fall under hardship in the solar world. Certainly can do it because, including in a building situation, there's enough examples over time.
Yeah.
But I don't have one for solar.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think the waiver problem might open us up to.
I can't,
Because I've spent so much money, we've spent so much money on this project, and now you do this. Because when we did the building.
well,
Well, we're not stopping anything in progress.
if you tie
Yeah.
sorry, Phil, I
No,
just,
no, go
I
ahead,
gotta
no,
jump
go.
in there.
Yeah, sure.
Because above that, it's talking about, we're not accepting any new applications.
Right.
It puts only a very, very select few potential people with a waiver here.
And you wouldn't spend any money on an application you haven't put in. You might have done some engineering, but that's on good time.
Correct, if you're already precluded from application, you're already you're so early in the process, that financial hardship wouldn't seem to carry much weight.
Yeah, we're just gonna let everything take its course.
Yeah, I think this is what you were, seeking, and I think it.
Yeah. Yeah.
accomplished.
what's
Yeah,
gonna be
I
on
agree,
reason.
I'm good with that, I'd like to see it started. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, because when we had that last public hearing, I was like, I walked away, not quite understand what we just been through. We need more guidance and more direction.
Yeah, and at that hearing, there were so many variables that they hadn't done, that they hadn't answered. The planning board, they had maybe 15 items, that were still up in the air that they haven't addressed.
Right.
They didn't get conditional, they didn't get conditional. They just had so many items. But anyway,
One thing I'm sorry. Doug.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'd like to say I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing before you motion, just to answer a question I haven't asked, but the likelihood is this study, as you said, is 6 months worth, right? So once we get an idea of how long the study will take to give us the right information, immediately we can update the resolution. If it says it's going to be 9 months right out of the gate, we don't have to wait till the 6 months is near and we can adopt a resolution. Track the study. The resolution could say till the study's done, right? So I didn't want to jump the gun on that. I just kept it more traditional, but
yeah, I'm sorry.
So I'm looking at, turning this over to Sean, so it's gonna be a cost from Sean's group. And then let him spearhead it or whatever he uses
Yeah.
to get it done. He has the best knowledge of our everything. right now, so.
I
Problem with
got
that?
a 15-page thing.
So procedurally now.
Public hearing.
We have to.
go to motion, and you guys agree to adopt it, public hearing in 2 weeks, and then it will be on the books, assuming there's no issues there. And we can close that public hearing.
Why don't you make that- why don't you make that for us as a motion?
Sure, I mean, so it's a motion to adopt local law number 2 of 2022, which states in some substance that we're going to take out the amendment part that's in there. It says, local law adopting a moratorium on certain solar energy uses.
As listed in the resolution,
As listed in the
formal resolution.
the form of local law, it says.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Right, so it's gonna go,
So the
Yeah,
public
just
hearing-
gotta set a public
the
hearing.
public hearing has to
Yeah.
be set.
yeah, it's gonna be 2 weeks, it's gonna be our next,
Go ahead.
Yes, which is what they. It's gotta go into.
no, it's not, I think we have an extra weekend again, I believe.
Oh, right.
No, we don't,
No,
yeah, we do, we go to the 8th. No, it's 2 weeks,
2 weeks,
2 weeks, September 8th.
September 8th. Perfect. Good night.
Nowhere you'd rather be.
No cake.
Okay.
No candles, no
There's gonna
cake.
be cake.
Lance is there.
Only 45 candles though. Good for candles.
Yes, September
Why they start going?
Fire hazard.
I'll do more.
Bring fire extinguisher, right?
All right, so
All right, sounds good.
Again, just the procedure wise, we have to do anything with seeker.
For a moratorium?
Yeah.
No, this is not, we've already done this in the past, in the town. You guys did one, as Doug was alluding to, that 6 months goes quick. There was no secret process during that. I don't know what the reason it would be.
Just
But,
ask it.
all right, very good.
Make a motion for that, Doug? Set the public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we have a public hearing on
September 8th. Second,
At 7:30.
7:30 town hall.
Rick second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Real,
Notice.
okay. Item number 6 is just discussed, there's no approval on it. Discuss the implementation of a height and square footage in HCCO and I districts. We put together a kind of like a flow chart.
Yeah.
The purpose of this is, I think, to take a look and make sure that we maintain the ruralness of the town and allow for the development of these 3 zones, which increase our ratables to help bring our tax base down and help with moving forward on all of our services. So it's basically you read it, it's basically an adjustment of the highway commercial and industrial zone for minimum side back, minimum rear, and maximum height based on the setback. So it allows us to take certain heights at certain setbacks on these projects and allows and gives the zoning board, when they have appeals, flow chart of what they should look at.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I happen to being an attorney for the CBA and also this group, it's interesting how this CBA is, kind of a quasi judiciary group, and you guys are the legislature. You set the law, and they interpret whether or not there's any necessity to adjust it. And I think one of the things I've noticed with that group that they do very well is they look at you guys and say, they set this law for this reason, they're elected officials from the town. And this is what they believe the code should be, within reason, even if their own personal opinion disagrees, they're not gonna allow the variance absent something that falls into the very unique nature there. So there's a lot of things coming before that board that may indicate that it's time to look at certain things in the code. I think that's how a lot of code changes come about, is you start to see a trend. A bunch of groups are coming to. We're dealing with it on that corridor of 17, right? So that part, I think, is very important for them to have some guidance on it. The rubric maybe needs to change. Additionally, I think one of the things Joe was alluding to, and this would lead into the procedure of this, is our comprehensive plan. And right out of the gate, Doug, you've been a part of this, you've been a part of a few revisions of it. One thing that has never been really revised is the challenge of town of Goshen balance of rural nature and scenic nature versus the necessity to bring economy. Right? catch basin and everything like that. We balance that all the time. You see the lead coming in and still trying to keep solar projects maybe out of the scenic overlay area, right? We're balancing that tonight. I think that's kind of where Joe, at least what you were describing, we want to try to do with the pervious areas that can be, which we are shrinking, right? Because we have water issues. We talk about all the time when we charge coming into the town. So if you're not able to go out, sometimes when you go up, you know, so there's a balance that we have to have with projects that are coming before us. Figuring out a way to adjust our ever-changing view of the town of Goshen, right?
We have a master plan, it's supposed to be a master plan. County has one, towns have one.
Right.
Look at that in 5 years.
Well, you did 5 years ago,
Right.
actually. So and Joe, one of the first things that,
Yeah.
in my first meeting with Joe, I'll
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
you know, that was on the number one on the list, is to
Yeah.
constantly tinker with. it. Doesn't mean, you might not revise it, you just
Right.
gotta look at it, you gotta make sure you're, and I think this is something that would require an amendment to the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, if accepted, would require a local law, but it required to look at the comprehensive plan. I'm looking for the ability to go into it, dive into it, because again, it's a 120-page document, and
Yes,
this piece ties to this piece. I want to make sure that that's the will of the board. So,
yeah, we need to.
So these figures here, as they are here.
Yeah.
Are they what they are now? Or is this?
no, that would be the revision.
This is
Um,
proposed to be.
Right.
Yeah, they're a little, it's a little Frankenstein if you go and look at what it, well, I mean, everybody's is different. It doesn't necessarily match up per se with what the standard is of how proportions are on maybe maximum footprint versus how much impervious ground can be done versus height, right? It almost becomes sometimes, in fact, you guys revised it one time because of the fact that it became almost impossible to build in the Hamlet part. You actually changed, you remember that, right? So you listen to the people coming before you saying, look, I'm trying to apply your code, but this doesn't work with this. We actually do it in the solar stuff. We have to do an interpretation with ZBA because one part of the code said this, didn't match here. So when we interpreted it, and that became, that's how the code is read now. So sometimes your code, because a change here doesn't match up with change here, can become unworkable. I think our heights and our, you know, we want water going back in, or shrinking what you could build on, just now limiting people, unfortunately, to go up, right? So that's
We want to keep the rollness to the last step, so.
no doubt, but you also got,
Sprawling
yeah,
Developments, sprawling projects all over the place, and then you go up and condense them a little bit and take some of the property, excess property you
so
have.
the first line of the comprehensive plan is that balance, and that balance can change over time. 100 years ago, it was mostly farmland. Now it's-
So as you said, these are proposed, but in order for me to kind of get a.
Yeah, that's,
Answer, I gotta have what it is now.
We need the base.
I understand.
35 feet,
And then what it is proposed.
Right.
So, we want to get that information.
I was gonna
That's
say
what's in the
same
code,
thing.
it's under 97. I'll just forward it on. I know Joe's got it.
97.
It's well, it's an appendice. It's actually,
Yeah.
it's a,
Let me see.
it's A, but it's. I can just forward it on.
Yeah, I'll give it to you, I'll send it off to you on email.
George, and not,
But it's
not to
basically
get,
it's one height.
Right, it was more just a-
Everybody needs it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
listen, at the end of the day, you absolutely needed to mix and match. I think the point of today was just the generalization of,
If we agree that, you know, in principle, that we want to look at this, give you the tool to go ahead and look. at it.
yeah, I
That's
just
what
don't, again, I hate to abuse the rabbit hole thing, that I could go, if you want me to go into the comprehensive plan and spend,
No.
you know, I'm trying to cherry pick where the time is used, if I'm gonna be in the water district stuff, I don't put a bill in for.
Yeah, the goal tonight was just to evaluate these, understand,
I
evaluate these, understand what we want to do.
Bill for all this?
try to be pretty kind with,
Yeah.
sometimes,
Oh, okay.
no, I
I think-
appreciate it, Joy, I'm being serious, I mean, I'm,
I understand.
I think as George was saying, and I was gonna say the same thing, is if it's 200 feet now and 200 feet going in, then you just put 200 /200. And
I'll
you just see
provide
where
you
the
a chart.
changes are, that's all.
Yeah,
And there's
it's one line straight across the board,
But then-
50-foot setback, 35 feet.
change.
Just trying to make it uniform,
Which
so
line
it's,
is 30?
the code is a little more,
Right, exactly.
you know, it's a little
Yeah.
more uniform and not as Frankenstein. And it's
Yeah, yeah.
easier for a business coming in to go, I know that this, and this. And then the secondary part, which I think is just as important, is that it indicates to groups that just adopted this, the legislative body just adopted this. So the constant variance requests may, I don't want to say be diminished, but they'll be clearer. It'll be a clearer situation. We're telling you, here's your code, we just did it, this is why we're doing it,
This is.
you know, so those are the things that I think are, I just want to be able to do that. And provide you guys, so I'll provide a cross section.
Okay. One last question.
Yeah.
What's S and R?
Side and rear.
Where you
Right,
look,
so you're gonna increase the side and rear as you go up. The setback. Right now, it's,
So that'd be plus 10.
right, so it's 50-foot front, 50-foot side setback. So if you, that's at 30 feet, it's plus 10, so it's 45, 45. At 45 feet would be plus 15. So as you increase the height, the setback increases too.
Right.
The rear and front.
Yeah, again, it's just a-
easy if you put NC, no change, and then just show the changes. Which you have,
noted.
All right,
You know what I'm saying? and then you won't have to do the whole thing. No changes.
all right, so I guess we're saying, yes, he should move forward and do it for us.
Yep.
All right, number 7, discuss a water filtration system for Hamilton Park. This is something that I, myself and Doug talked about, you know, I wasn't, and then come to find out Doug was in the same position as me. I don't think treating manganese with another chemical is what we should be doing for our residents. I think it's important for us to put together what we did in Heritage, a green sand system that filters the water, and we don't have to put orthophosphate into it. Fortunately for us, Hamiltonian Park doesn't have a lot of money in their budget there. It's about a $200,000 project. I reached out to Senator Martucci. I have some support. He reached out to Senator Skoufis. Myself and Rory went out to see Senator Skoufis. 2 days ago, we got a letter from Senator Skoufis. Dear Supervisor Metro, as discussed and enclosed, find the local community assistance program, low cap preliminary application for the town of Goshen grant in the amount of $200,000. These funds are for costs associated with water improvements. Please return completed packet by September 30th. So he approved a $200,000 grant for us to build a green sand system for Hamiltonian Park. We never have to put orthophosphate into it. Cost savings for us because we don't have to spend the chemicals on orthophosphate. Now we just have to put together we have to get somebody to put together the plan for it.
He's always been good to us.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Scoop has always been good to us. Always. So, yeah.
Please reveal us.
Yeah, he is.
It's not party politics here, guys. It's just, the
No,
guy
no,
understands
no,
that,
no.
the guy understands that, you know, our residents, and we have a mixture of both, on both sides of the aisle. Our residents have a problem, and he has the ability to help us with that problem.
He's on this
Same
side.
problem as
So it's great news for Hamiltonian Park, and
Yes.
residents of Hamiltonian Park.
But that means it's not okay, so now you have this $200,000 for this green sand. What is the maintenance of it? Like, how often do you have to change the green sand?
The maintenance, from what I understand, the maintenance of the system is much less expensive than the purchase of orthophosphate on a daily basis to treat the manganese.
George, what they do is they flush this, it goes, it actually goes into the system. And, pretty well.
There's a cost associated with maintaining, it. There's a cost associated with everything, but the cost of the orthophosphate is cost us tens of thousands of dollars to treat the water.
Always want to ask a question, is like this, question, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
The other answer may have been, is you need, 3 years from now, you need another 200.
No. It's a matter of changing the sand. It's a matter of, you know,
Well, I think in over time, since we use this, like Katie Hills a little bit, and we use some in the scratch map work. Maybe look at those as well. Sure. It won't be nearly as, for example, the scratch map is small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, a three-well system is roughly about $225,000 to go on. So that's what we have in hand for. We just gotta get the pricing and the cost associated with bringing the piping out to a central location. And I have an engineering firm looking at giving us that price.
Good idea.
All right. Discuss and approve the August 11, 2022 town board minutes. Any questions on?
Last page. Normal Reynolds went to the board to take into repair the solution building and asked if it should be, there are any plans. Strike they, insert there are. Makes it flow, makes the sentence flow.
Noted. Do I have a motion to accept these?
So moved.
Yeah.
That-
Second.
Yeah, sorry, I was writing the number.
Startled me there.
George said he moved into acceptance. I seconded. Roll call it
No,
out.
no. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
By the way, on this lesion, I went up and I took some pictures of it. I don't know if anybody's been there, but most of the fences are down. Except, I don't know, there were fences around it. They left.
No,
Those-
we had a final meeting today, so we had to walk through today. The fence, those fences will be down. All the equipment will be removed and the fences will be down by Monday, and I authorized Trish Sherlock to open up the dog park on September 1st.
Perfect. Because it was great. I walked out. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
This was wonderful. It's all done.
Yep, it is.
Okay.
Just some information, as we're all aware, Neil Holland has submitted his letter of resignation as of 9/9/2022. It's attached. He's going to take some vacation. I think his last day is October. His last working day is September 9th, but his last day on as an employee, full-time employee for the town of Goshen is October 9th. Do we have to accept his resignation? I thought we did that already. We accepted his, yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't have. it.
contingent on the letter, because it was open-ended.
Oh,
so-
right.
It was over.
We didn't know how long he was gonna stay on,
Right,
we're gonna
correct.
hire Frank.
So now we have.
Now
Now we have a
time
firm
to
date,
pay.
yeah.
All
So,
right, so can I have a motion to accept Neil's resignation?
so moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. On to finance. Expensive 2 weeks at the town of Goshen. Discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay accounts payable checks on August 25th in the amount of $681,080.16. Of that $681,000 is the third payment on submission, which was $430,000, which is coming out of the ban. Any motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay workers' comp claims in the amount of $3,809.85.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and approve a manual AP run for 7/31/2022. Attached. Just the transfers back and forth.
Right.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and approve a transfer of $43,454.32 in ARPA funds to SB Arcadia Sewer. This is attached. So this is to complete the work that was done on Larchwood, correct. It was, it turned out to be a little bit more expensive than the original quote because it turned out we had to extend the remaining 300 feet down the road because by the time we got done and we dipped in it, by the time we hit that pipe was up here, the other pipe was down here, so.
Wait, how many people is this thing all together?
The distance, 1,200 feet long.
The only reason why I say that, is because there's no I and I in that.
Yeah.
Line of pipe.
Yep.
That's great.
1,200 feet long, 1, 2, 3, 4 new catch basins. Everything is done, the road's paved, everything is done, the people are very happy with us. All right, so can I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and approve the budget transfer 8/12/2022. I
planning.
Any questions on it?
Nope.
Can I get a motion?
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Informational only, Christine Cavallari, Budget Officer, Auditor Pit, accounts payable on 7/28/2022 and 8/25/2022.
You know, I have to thank her for doing that. This is something she started just a few months ago.
Yeah.
And it's-
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's on top she's on top of
Yeah.
every penny that we spend in the town of Goshen.
And she gives us good advice on where the money should go.
Number 8, information only, Christine Cavallari, Budget Officer, submitted a monthly financial reporting for the July 2022 to attach. Yep. Any questions on that? Okay. Discuss and approve budget transfer for 7/14/2022.
So I'll make the motion.
The schedule is attached.
One
I'll
for,
second.
7/14.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And same for 8/25/2022.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that concludes that. Open the meeting up to the floor. Any questions?
I just have one follow-up question on the sand filter system, or do you have the official name?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What's the official name of the sand?
Thank you.
It's-
I got it.
There are multiple suppliers, but essentially it's called the green sand system.
The green sand system, okay, that was, all right.
No problem. Anything else?
I just wanted to,
What?
one thing that, I think the town is really kind of doing a great job on is the recreation. I mean, as we've talked about, now the pavilion is up, the money.
Yeah.
The building is down.
Pickleball court. Pickleball court is 3/4 of the way through.
So there's two really notable things that I think are going to really enhance. the,
Have you bought your rackets? Have you bought your rackets? Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's a very popular thing.
That's.
I mean, my brother plays there, everybody there.
I know.
I think-
As I understand it, we already have a league set up from
Oh, yeah.
Chester,
Fact.
Goshen, Maybrook, Montgomery,
Yeah.
and Crawford.
Part of the change of the comprehensive plan, any ties that the various are voting are settled on.
Told me they're gonna make that an Olympic. Somebody
That's
said they're gonna make
Yeah.
that an Olympic sport.
I wouldn't doubt it. I
No,
mean,
they-
What'd you say? It's a what?
Someone told me they were gonna make that an Olympic sport faster than that other thing. they call-
Berlin,
Badminton?
awful.
No. It's a real rough game. They have big sticks.
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
I wanted to just keep throwing out ideas.
Can I get a motion?
I'm sorry.
Anything else?
I
Yep, I'm sorry.
I promise very quick question.
No, go ahead.
About solar farms, have no projects been started yet? I feel like there's been, like, I went through all the forums and whatnot.
How many projects?
There's three.
They're already done.
Up and
3
running.
completed and up and running and 2
Yeah.
on the books. 3 on the
Well,
books.
it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah,
Technically, it's 2, or
Broadly,
maybe it's
yeah.
3.
No, it's 3. It's Broadley, Owens, and the Altori landfill.
McEwen.
that was.
No, that's, McEwen's up.
That's what I'm saying, I'm talking about the ones that are.
Oh,
up.
completed.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
three up.
McEwen, Urbanski, those are all up and running.
Okay, you got customers hooked up to them and
They're all hooked up and
They're-
running. They've been running, yeah.
And this is just for my own education, the public
Yeah,
hearing for the moratorium is for the public to speak up for or against, and
Correct.
would that also include the engineers or the vendors who are financially invested in this, they would, okay.
Anybody,
Like, so that was
public
on
hearings
the
are-
record, that was
public
for
hearings
knowledge.
are- public hearings are open to anybody.
Anybody.
Okay,
Our engineers will be here.
understood, I meant
But
like,
you're talking about the engineers.
like
for the-
people who, like not just the
They have
public who are
projects.
concerned about, it,
Oh,
like actually
people that have
like a,
projects, I'm
yeah.
sure
you
will
know,
be here.
Yes.
that they could make or not
And
make.
the other thing that I think is notable is that these are commercial solar farms. The residential people who are.
Doesn't matter.
Solar has has no effect.
No effect on them.
They can continue to do it.
These are just
Individual
businesses.
residential homes can still continue to do solar.
Oh, yeah, like they can
Yeah.
put solar up in the roof. or
Yeah,
connect
they're
Correct.
solar.
doing- yeah,
These,
yeah.
yeah, these are for the actual,
These are businesses
the
that
actual businesses
generate
that are producing it and,
and generate income and put it into the grid.
Yep.
And so on and so forth. Yeah,
oh, thank you very much, I really appreciate it. guys.
anytime.
No, feel free to ask questions.
Yes.
Sure.
I know this one ran a little bit longer than I
Yeah.
guys wanted to, so,
And you know what?
And
We don't-
it's very nice having you here.
Yeah.
thank you.
It's been a long time since we
Yeah.
had representation.
Yeah.
Well, I probably will, I'm obviously gonna write about the Hamiltonian Park, because, you know,
Yeah,
That's a
get
good
get the
deal.
news out to them. I haven't told anybody.
but
Really?
I think the solar farms are noteworthy too, that, you know,
Oh, yeah.
there is discussion of a moratorium, so. it's
We'll be anxious to read your paper.
funny.
All right.
Motion.
Can I get a motion to close the meeting? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm not offline.